World's attention is increasingly being focused on Africa, with multinational companies and state players competing to strengthen their presence on the continent. And with South Africa being the largest economy in Africa, it's become a key investment location. Businessman Brunt Pretorius joins us now for a look at how to navigate the country's business landscape. Brunt, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
South Africa, long known as the gateway to Africa. From where you're sitting, are we losing that status right now?
I don't want to say that we're losing it. I saw the results of a survey conducted recently, and we still have a good standing. But I must say that some of the things that are happening here have been undermining confidence, and South Africa's investment rating, as we all know, has suffered. So we have a lot to do, because our country has enormous potential, and it's up to quality leaders to realize that potential.
Branch, you were a quality leader in a corporate sense, and now you're not out of the corporate world, but you've certainly removed yourself somewhat from your previous role as the CEO of a major previously JSE listed corporate. But what do you do now? I'm looking at your website now, and you say buildings are merely a venue from which to serve our customers, but the bricks and mortar play a small role in our business. It's the people that are important. So you're still obviously passionate about not only business, but also about the country. How can you, as a retired CEO, if I can describe you like that, continue to contribute?
Yes, Lindsay, I accept co-responsibility for the creation of a better future. I believe that our country needs us more than ever before. So I have a portfolio. I split it into learning, into teaching, and into serving. So the boards I serve on are all outside of the motor industry. So that's part of my learning experience, and I obviously do my best to make a difference there. And when it comes to teaching, I want to give back. So I do a lot of leadership mentoring and coaching. I do a fair amount of lecturing at institutions like
So let's draw on some of those lessons that you're putting out there, Brunt. I mean, when it comes to doing business in South Africa, what's the best advice that you can give to businesses, and how they're to navigate what has become a very challenging and complex environment?
Yeah, I think somehow, despite the volatility and the unpredictability, and I'm not just talking about the situation in South Africa, but all over the world, we should retain a positive vision. We should continue to make plans and do an assessment of risk, but also be aware of opportunities. And it's imperative that we don't adopt a fatalistic approach. So we need to continue to do strategic planning. We have to continue to develop our talent, because I think the quality of our human capital is of paramount importance, and we must do whatever we can to improve the competitiveness of our businesses, so that we can play a useful role in furthering the national agenda of eliminating poverty, creating jobs, reducing inequality. We have a huge social responsibility. So the one beauty about our country is the challenges are many, but the opportunities are also out there, and it's up to us to realize the potential that the country offers.
Well, that's a good point, Brunt, because I was reading an editorial recently from Peter Bruce, who's the publisher of Business Day, and he said he's just spent some time in some rural areas, and he said, we get these headlines of this strike, that strike, this crime level, whatever statistic it is that paints South Africa in a negative light. But if you go out into communities, there are people building houses. There is an informal sector which is booming, which maybe slips through the net and doesn't warrant the sort of headlines we have on CNBC Africa. Do you find that as well when you're teaching, when you're lecturing, when you're mentoring, that there are things going on that actually don't make the headlines, and perhaps it's misrepresentative to always paint South Africa in a negative light.
Yeah, I agree, Lindsay. I think, we tend to sell ourselves short, because thousands upon thousands of ordinary South Africans are sometimes performing miracles out there and doing their best to create a tomorrow that will be better than today. So it's up to us to mobilize all those efforts, and from a business point of view, to play the role that we should. And
it's hard, though, for business leaders, to stay positive where they are faced with all of those headlines. It's a lot easier said than done, what you've outlined here. What sense are you getting from the conversations you have with our human capital, our leaders out there?
It is tough because we are being bombarded with negative news, but we also have some shining examples of companies that have used the tough times as a sort of a catalyst, as a defining moment to strengthen their platforms, to improve efficiencies, to move into new territories, to expand into Africa, to acquire other businesses, to turn them around. So mindset has a lot to do with it, and I want to get back to a fundamental issue. As leaders, we need to retain a positive vision, accept co-responsibility, and do what we need to do.
Brant, is it the role of government to create jobs, or is it the role of government to create the opportunity for the private sector to create jobs? Is there too much focus on what we're going to see tomorrow with the budget from Minister Pravin Gordhan? Is there too much focus on the government coming up with infrastructure plans in order to create jobs? Are we losing sight of the fact that it's actually small and medium-sized enterprises that are going to be the real drivers for the future of South Africa?
I agree with your statement, Lindsay. I said it earlier and I want to say it again. We should accept co-responsibility, but as business we can do a lot to further entrepreneurship, to really apply our minds. Should one look at the codes of good practice, the priorities that we have of enterprise development, preferential procurement. South African business has already done a lot. But yes, we can do more, and we should do more, because the country, I don't want to say it's on a knife edge, but we see evidence of more and more social unrest, and we need to align our agendas with a broader national agenda.
Of course, for business to do business in South Africa, we need a conducive environment as well. Tomorrow we've got the Finance Minister making his budget speech for 2013 and presenting that budget. What would you like to hear come tomorrow?
Yeah, I believe obviously government need to create a climate that will be conducive to business people having confidence, business people having the propensity to invest more. So for us or for government to provide a clear and a unifying vision of the future, to provide clarity regarding policy going forward, for them to be very aware of the necessity to create a partnership based on mutual trust and respect with business. So one can talk about so-called golden triangle, and the case studies are many. Perhaps the South African government is not as aware of the potential impact of a golden triangle where business and government and labor and civil society, where they can join hands, and the impact that would have on the future of the country.
Well, Brant, let's leave it there. Thanks so much for having joined us this afternoon. Brant Pretorius, of course, joining us today and just unpacking the kind of business environment we're facing here in South Africa and what it takes to be a leader in the country.